When it comes to autumn fashion, it's all about cozy layers and playing with lots of textures so that we can create some really interesting outfits. So I want to share lots of style tips and outfit combinations in this video to hopefully inspire you to get into your wardrobes and create outfits that you absolutely love this autumn winter. Great autumn outfits, or any outfits in general, can only be made with great fabrics. If you don't get the fabrics right from the get-go, then your pieces won't drape correctly, they won't wash well, and they'll probably start to fall apart after a few wears. I've chosen a few pieces from Fabrique that you will see styled in this video. I've chosen them because they're really unique materials that really add something to every outfit, and most of all, they are made of good materials. If you haven't heard of Fabrique, they are a really interesting concept as they partner with over 300 designers globally, and these designers have worked in places such as Dior, Maison Margiela, or Theory to create some really unique and exclusive limited edition pieces. And they even do petite sizing, which I really appreciate, and I know many of you will as well. I'll show you the pieces that I've chosen before we get into the styling, and I do have a discount code to share with you to get 12% off. It will be written on screen and also in the description box. So if anything on Fabrique's website appeals to you, you can get 12% off using my code. So I'm going to start off by showing you my personal favorite piece of all of the ones that I got to choose. It is this tweed baseball jacket by a designer called T. Chagnashvili. I probably butchered her name, very, very sorry. I tried my best. I love this big herringbone pattern. I mean, I'm a big herringbone fan in general. I think if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know how many herringbone pieces that I have. But I love that it's in a kind of sporty, like varsity jacket. It has sort of like a casual but really elegant vibe about it. This jacket is 92% wool, so it will keep you warm during the autumn. And it also has a faux suede collar, which is quite a nice detail to it as well. It actually has quite a bit of weight to it, like my shoulder and my arm is kind of aching as I hold it up. And I think what's really cool about Fabrique is that if you see a piece that you like, you can click on the designer to see who's designed it, and it will tell you about their background, where they've studied, where they've worked, and then you can also see what other pieces they've created for Fabrique. So for instance, I really liked this jacket and I went on to see what other designs T had created with Fabrique, and there were a few other designs that kind of caught my eye. Next, I have these brown trousers by a designer called Solal Faber. On the website, it says that Solal has been at Hermes and was also head designer at Tod's, which is kind of cool. I really like that you get to know who has designed each piece. It makes it more personal than just sort of like buying something off the high street. So these trousers are 100% wool, and they are in this absolutely gorgeous rich brown color. They do have this little faux leather belt detail at the front, which I think is quite a nice touch. But the fact that they're 100% wool is what really drew me towards them. I think I've spoken about this before, like how hard it is to find a good pair of wool trousers. And this wool drapes so nicely. These fit really well. These are in the petite sizing, which means I didn't have to get them altered. I mean, I do have to wear a little bit of a heel with them, but that's fine. That's probably how I would wear it anyway. The merino wool is really warm and it's durable, really good for autumn, winter. I just know I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of these this season. Next, I have the Mia bell sleeve top by a designer called Sam Frenzel. And Sam apparently leads the women's line at COS, which perfectly explains why I like this top, because it does look like something you could get at COS. I think nice tops for autumn winter are quite difficult to come by, and so whenever I see one that I like, I do try and snap it up. I really like this polo style with these, I want to call them like oil slick buttons. They're so unique. I've not seen a button like this before. And they also have these sort of like intentionally long sleeves with the buttons on as well. I think it's quite a simple top, but because it has these very intentional details such as the length of the sleeve and the big cuffs and these buttons, it makes it into something a lot more unique. And this top is a mix of viscose, lyocell, and silk, so it's really soft and smooth on your skin. Next, I have this sweater from the Fabric Essentials collection. This is 87% wool and 12% cashmere, so it's really soft. It's gonna keep you so warm. I love the thick rib detail, this kind of mock neck, and it also has these sort of like big bell sleeves on them as well, so it's like so cozy to wear. I'm actually excited for it to get a little bit cooler so that I can properly wear this outside. The fabric feels very luxurious, very soft, and I think it's just going to be a really good sweater addition to have in my wardrobe. And then lastly, I have this base layer from the Fabric Basics collection. This I really liked because, of course, base layers are, you know, that sort of like practical item that you don't really think about. But I really like this detail around the neckline and the sleeves. I think that's like such a nice little addition to a piece that you don't normally think too much about. And this is 95% cotton and 5% cashmere. So again, it's really soft, it feels very luxurious, and I forgot to mention, it also has this seam down the back, which, I don't know, I really am a fan of small details that maybe a lot of people won't see or pay attention to, but you know that it's there. And it just makes something, you know, like a base layer, just so much more interesting and fashionable. So like I said, a good outfit starts with good materials, and I specifically chose all of these items from Fabric because I was a big fan of the materials that they used. Natural fibers will just keep you warmer, they will look better, and they last a lot longer in your wardrobe. My favorite textures to bring out this year are things like herringbone, plaid, corduroy, and leather. These textures just really give off that autumnal vibe to me, and they make me feel very cozy and like, okay, winter is coming. When we start going into autumn winter, I find that, you know, our jackets and coats tend to make up about 80% of our outfits. And so I start gravitating towards jackets that are made up of these textures. Like I said, herringbone is one of my favorite things to wear. And so I've got quite a few wool jackets in a sort of like herringbone or houndstooth pattern. I find these slightly oversized jackets really easy to style. I can throw them over a lot of my base outfits and I'm just, you know, I'm like ready and I'm good to go. And I find that they add a lot of warmth and depth to my outfits. If we compare it to my plain black wool blazer, which, you know, don't get me wrong, it is definitely one of my wardrobe essentials. I wear it very, very frequently. But compared to the texture of like a wool herringbone, the black wool just looks very flat. It's just a completely different look. And so I like to add in those wool herringbone textures to give me some variety in my outfits. The only thing about wool herringbone pieces is that they can be quite formal. If we think about those jackets that I just showed you, or even a pair of wool herringbone trousers or a herringbone coat, I think they can veer towards being quite formal or quite workwear related. So I like to look for pieces that have elements of both smart and casual in them, such as this herringbone baseball jacket from Fabric. It works in both more casual and slightly more dressed up occasions because it has elements of both of those things in one. The wool is really luxurious and elegant, but then the shape of the jacket is very relaxed and so quite casual. And it just goes back to adding contrast and friction within an outfit. So we've got that sort of sporty but luxurious vibe to this jacket. That's where I think the most interesting outfits are made, when there is a bit of friction in the outfit. For something a little bit more casual, I really like corduroy. Good quality corduroy should be quite a thick fabric. It should be a twill weave with these really sort of thick vertical ribs going down it. And this thick weave makes it very durable and warm and cozy for autumn winter. And it can almost feel velvety on the outside as well. Again, a corduroy jacket is something you can easily throw on to any of your base outfits to give you that like warm autumnal feeling. And then of of course, we've got like barn jackets that have corduroy collars or sleeves that are really trending this season. It started off with high-end brands such as Prada, and now it has trickled down to the high street. So there are lots and lots available. Although I will say I've seen a lot secondhand on Vinted as well. I personally really like these jackets. I think they're casual, but you can wear them quite elegantly as well. I think it just depends what you style it with. Like, you can go super casual with it, but I've also worn it with a nice pair of ballet flats and a nice bag, and I like that sort of elegance that you can put with this kind of jacket as well. The one I have is from Uniqlo, and I think it's a men's jacket, so I do roll up the sleeves, but I like that you can see the corduroy cuff when I roll it up. I think that's just a nice small detail. I've been on the hunt for a pair of brown cord trousers since last year, or maybe even the year before actually. And I can't believe I actually found a pair when I was vintage shopping in Japan in August. The waist and the length just happened to fit me perfectly. I was honestly in shock when I tried them on. And adding in these trousers to my wardrobe has given me a lot of variety in my looks. It's very different from anything I own. I own a lot of, jeans and sort of tailored trousers. So adding in this corduroy texture has given me something very different, whilst also still being quite a classic piece. Whilst I personally gravitate towards more simple patterns such as plaids and checks, of course, if you are like a floral or a paisley fan, then definitely you can absolutely wear those for autumn winter. I actually really like the look of wearing like a floral skirt with a big chunky knit on top and boots. Again, it's that contrast of something very feminine and girly, and then worn with something maybe a bit tougher, like a pair of chunky boots and then a thick sweater. I would aim to keep the colors of the florals maybe in darker shades or even in jewel tones for autumn winter. Knitwear is also a great way to add texture to your looks. Something like a fine merino wool sweater is what I would call a knitwear essential. It's very practical, you can wear it with everything, it layers really well, but it doesn't necessarily add anything to your outfit. Again, like that black wool blazer example, it's just very flat. But something like a slightly more chunky ribbed sweater adds an extra something to your outfit. You can see the thickness of the yarn and how it's been knitted in this ribbed texture. It gives it a very warm and cozy feeling. The mock neck and the big sleeves also add a different silhouette than just a plain round neck. And as there's not too much structure to this jumper, it is just quite like a big, soft, fluffy jumper. I have worn it with some tailored trousers just to give the whole outfit a bit more structure. Of course, I can't talk about texture without mentioning suede. It is absolutely huge this season. In all honesty, I would love a suede jacket, and I have been on the hunt for one for years. It's great that, now suede is trending, so I've got a lot of options to choose from. But I'm not convinced that buying one brand new is the best way to go, especially for the climate that I live in. I mean, I live in the UK and it rains like 80% of the year. I just don't think, as much as I want a suede jacket, it's not the most practical thing to wear. And so I don't think I want to look for a brand new one. I'm still on the hunt for pre-loved or vintage. That way, hopefully it will be cheaper, and if it gets wet, I won't feel as precious about it than, if I spent like £300 or £400 on a brand new one. And also, if I look pre-loved or vintage, hopefully I can find a design that's a bit more unique than all of the mass-produced ones that are on the market at the moment. But of course, a jacket is not the only way to add texture to a look. I just talk about jackets a lot because I happen to have quite a few of them. Jackets are just like my thing. But bags and accessories and shoes can also add so much to an outfit. Suede bags, suede shoes, animal print, suede belts. There's so much to choose from, which I think is great. And accessories are quite a low stakes way to add texture into a look if you are just kind of testing it out. It's not a full commitment to your whole outfit. You can just test it out here and there and see if you like it or not. I find that adding in these textures is also a really fun way to break out of some of the basic looks that I can sometimes default to. And so it's just a nice way to add some variety to your wardrobe. When it's early autumn, it's still relatively easy to not have to tweak too much of our outfits when we're getting dressed because our layers are still relatively light. For example, I've styled these brown trousers with a sort of like burgundy brown cropped leather jacket. This is a full length trouser on me, and so I do have to wear a little bit of a heel with them. And I've worn them specifically with these boots because the heel isn't too high, but they do have a slightly elongated toe, which helps to make me look taller as it extends the line of my body even further down. Defining the waist is also my go-to trick of not getting lost in too much fabric. I think 98% of the time, I always tuck in the top that I'm wearing so that my waist is shown and I'm not just kind of like lost in a sea of fabric. The jacket is also slightly cropped too, which also helps me look taller. It doesn't cut me off at like a weird point because it's sort of like up here. It makes my legs look longer. And so this is just a very easy outfit to style for early autumn. But when we get into slightly cooler temperatures and you have to start getting your knitwear out, I think that's when we can start having to tweak things a little bit more. As a general rule of thumb, if you're wearing something big, you want to balance it out by wearing something small and vice versa. So for example, the trousers would be the something big. And if I were to wear knitwear on top, I would want to wear something slimmer or tighter fitting on the top half. I wouldn't pair it with something big and chunky on top as well. Wearing big on big for me is just a complete no-no. There's just way too much material going on and it just doesn't look good. However, if I did want to wear a chunky knit with these trousers, I would maybe make sure that it was something cropped so that I could maybe tuck it in a little bit at the front, even just do like a half tuck. And I would also roll up the sleeves to show my wrists as well. By showing a bit of skin, it just portrays that you're not completely lost under everything going on here. And you do have, you do have limbs somewhere underneath. And the same goes with wearing something big on top. So if we go back to that really chunky, big oversized grey cashmere jumper, I would wear something a bit slimmer or cropped on the bottom. Showing your ankles or the top of the foot is the same sort of principle as showing your wrists. It helps to soften the look, it balances it out a little bit more, and again, just shows that you do have a body underneath all the fabric that's going on. Another way to add balance if you are going to be breaking out your big oversized chunky knits this autumn winter is to pair it with slightly smaller accessories. Something like a thin necklace with a small pendant on it and maybe a small bag, as opposed to a big chunky jumper with a big chunky necklace and a big tote. The small accessories just help to balance the look out overall, but obviously sometimes you do just need to carry a big bag with you and that just can't be helped. In that case, from experience, because I'm short, if I do have to carry like a big bag with me, then I'll try maybe wearing something with a bit of a heel to give me more height physically, and that helps to balance out the bag. But again, obviously, this is situation dependent. If you're running around all day, you're not going to want to wear heels. And, sometimes proportion is not the biggest priority in the clothes that you're wearing, but I'm just only here to give you tips that might help. I think this time of year, it's always fun to break out your knee-high boots and play with like your long and short silhouettes. For example, long sleeve top, mini skirt and long boots is always a fun look, and then maybe a long trench on top of that as well. I love a long coat or trench. As a petite person, I don't feel like this is something I can't wear. I just think it depends how you wear it. Similarly, I love wearing long boots and long skirts. I think that silhouette is so classic and chic and stylish. and I think I need more long skirts in my life. It's also just a welcome change for me personally because I rely on my jeans and my trousers so much, but wearing this long silhouette it's kind of like wearing trousers, but in a different way. So it's a nice sort of variety for me as well. It can be quite easy to feel like you are just lost under layers of chunky fabric during autumn winter fashion. And so this is where details really matter. The more I make these YouTube videos and think about fashion and style, the more I realize it's not about the clothes that we're wearing, but it's about how we're styling them and how we're putting them together. Accessories and details are how you make your looks more personal. I also think that finding pieces that are unique in their own ways helps to add personality to your outfits. So whether that's an embellishment or a stud or a button, it's these details that are really important. So just like these oil slick buttons, which I honestly can't get over because I don't think I've ever seen them before. I like that they are black, but then in the right light, they give that kind of oil slick color. So it's subtle, but it's still there. This would be such a plain top without the buttons, but with these buttons, it's just so unique. I could style this top in the simplest of ways. Like here, I've just worn it with a pair of black jeans and black boots, which, you know, is my usual styling. But because of these buttons, because they're so unusual, it really adds something special to the whole outfit. My personal favorite accessory is probably a belt. I love a belt. I love that they are a functional item, but they can also be so stylish. And it can really be that finishing touch to an outfit. I don't feel complete if I'm not wearing a belt. Like if I wasn't wearing this belt, I feel like this outfit would be so plain. But with this belt, it just ties everything all together. And there's so much variety to belts. You can choose something that has a very plain, minimal buckle, or you can choose something that has a bit more hardware, some studs on it, and that can really show your personality, and it's another way to add personality to your outfits. Different belts can just give off such different vibes, and it can completely change the feeling of an outfit. I also feel a little bit naked if I'm not wearing jewelry. I'll show you my current pieces that I'm wearing at the moment. I don't change my jewelry daily unless, you know, I've got like a wedding or an event to go to. I'm the type of person that will wear the same pieces for weeks and weeks on end before switching it up and then wearing those pieces for weeks again. I think jewelry is such a personal thing, especially if you have pieces that you've had for years and years. For example, my gold bracelet, I've had this since I was a baby. No one else in the world has this bracelet, and it just makes me feel really special. I think jewelry is such a personal item, you know, the way you wear the pieces. Like I could have the same jewelry pieces as you, but the way that we wear them, which pieces we put together, what rings I put on which finger is different to how you would style it. And so that brings a lot of personality as well. I also recently got this necklace a few months, well, I say recently, but it was a few months ago now, from Lines and Current. It has this kind of like little heart, this silver heart on a black cord. And the cord, you can make it long or short. So I feel like it's quite a versatile necklace. Recently, I've been wearing it long, which is quite different for me. I normally wear my necklaces quite short, you know, like up here. And so adding this necklace into my rotation has added quite a bit of variety to my outfits. I'm definitely experimenting more with my jewelry these days. I realized that I made the mistake of buying the same things over and over again because that's what I liked, but I just ended up with a lot of, you know, thin chain necklaces with small pendants or small dainty rings. So like, for example, I just bought that cord necklace, and then I also picked up this ring as well from Japan when I was there. It's like this big silver chunky heart, which again adds some variety to my rings because all my rings were quite plain and small and dainty. I do also love a simple silk scarf over a t-shirt or a knit. It's something so simple and so easy, yet I think it adds a lot to your outfits. I mean, I obviously like more simple designs in my scarves, but of course you can go for any patterns or colors that speak to you. And there are so many ways to wear a silk scarf. It's so worth having a few in different colors that complement your wardrobe. The one that I mainly wear is from Le Scarf. It's obviously in like this black and beige, very neutral color that I can wear with everything. But I also recently got this orange one over the summer from Totem. And because it's not like a super bright orange, I feel like it has slot into my wardrobe really well, and the orange also complements blue, which I wear a lot of, so it works really well. I hope these tips help you as we start to go into the new season, start to get our knitwear out, our warm cozy layers. For me, that means lots of herringbone. Thank you to Fabrique for partnering with me on this video. If you saw anything that you like from them, you can get 12% off using my code. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.